All right, hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I think it's coming through. Like I said, this new interface is definitely weird. Very much like anti. You update it, change the font, and put things in weird positions. Like how am I supposed to deal with that? Um, anyway, so yeah, interesting last 24 hours as far as movement goes. We're seeing again comments come out of PAL, and yesterday on CNBC they were talking about how they're not like a Fed blackout on news, but they were expecting to hear Powell make some mentions of things and what that could actually mean. Looks like the consensus overall is again we're going to go ahead and go with the 0.75. Kind of what was planned, what was mentioned, what kind of the market is looking at. Indices not necessarily enjoying that as much as they could. And again, it makes sense. We're also starting to see comments from other countries too, particularly the UK. And you're seeing right now the UK dollar, pound dollar is down about 93. The reason why is because, again, great comment. Where is it? Right here, talking about how we're starting to see specific dollar kind of carryover, right? On the exchange rate, there are specific dollar factors that are at work, and I think that again kind of makes sense. When the dollar is high, being the world reserve currency, it definitely affects other countries, and it's one of the things that having the dollar be what it is. It's definitely going to affect other countries. Now, the UK is not the only one that's saying it. Like the US is in a different situation than the UK. It doesn't have the same trade, the same trade-offs, right? The sterling weakness is partially due to the strength of the dollar. So not so much that their situation is messed up, but that again, there's some problems elsewhere, right? But the Federal Reserve is facing more than demand shock than the UK. So yeah, one of the big things that we're seeing here in the United States is, and we mentioned it, is the demand on labor, right? That there's 11 million job openings, but only 5 million people willing to work, right? A little bit different scenario over there, and again, they're a little bit lower. One of the other things with the UK and why we're seeing UK strength right now is things like this, right? Goldman calls for 22% UK inflation as plausible. It's like what? Like 22% is absolutely insane. That's one of those things that we just 22% here. I don't even know. I mean, I would say riots, but we riot for anything here. So 22% is just absolutely just crazy. But, again, when you understand how currencies function and kind of like the relationship that they kind of have with economies and recessions and kind of where we are right now, I mean, 22% is crazy. But at the end of the day, I mean, Goldman's not stupid. They kind of, know what they're talking about. And, yeah, I think this is one of those things where you got to kind of look at this and be like, wow, could ours even go higher? And remember, the pound has done more raises than us, smaller increments, but, more raises than we have. So, the government plans, discuss state may lower the headline inflation short term. Again, it's not so much short term, it's what happens next. And again, as long as the dollar keeps doing what it's doing, it is making things more difficult for other countries. And if you have exposure overseas, like I mentioned yesterday, countries that have a large bit of influence outside of the United States, this is really going to start affecting them, earnings and things like that, because again, at the end of the day, if you're going to buy something from the United States and it costs you twice as much as what it could locally, or from another country, you're going local, or you're going to, you're going to somebody that is just has a cheaper currency rate. And remember, this is what currencies is really about. We, last year when we were on with Todd, we were talking about how, 2022 was going to be kind of the year of currencies. We're going to see interest rate rises across the board, and we're seeing kind of I want to say unprecedented, but I mean, I haven't seen the dollar move this much in this short of a period of time in like 20 years of currency trading. This is, this is big movement. So, we've seen things in the past with recession-wise and countries, and understand, countries will lower and raise their interest rate to kind of help stimulate their economy. This is kind of a weird race. We don't see these type of scenarios all the time. So, yeah. And it's not just the UK. Right here you're talking about over kind of on the BOJ. And, I keep mentioning that, hey, listen, I feel like they are going to intervene. right? There's going to be some type of an intervention, and this gentleman is saying no, right? There's not going to do. It's good. It's good, right? It it's good, but it's also there's a stage that it becomes not great. Remember, Japan is an export-based nation. Pretty much everything they do is meant on how can we ship things off the island. Now, there are certain things that they do not have access to that they need to purchase, and that's kind of where like the major problems in their economy starts happening, is when they do need other things. So, but they're talking about, and they're saying right now, and I think this is a very good point. Talking about how part of the yen's problems right now stem from the other currencies, aka the dollar. But if they intervened in the market, did a solar intervention, it'd be meaningless because of, again, as current FX moves driven by broad dollar gains. So everybody is really kind of pointing the dollar that a lot of the things that we're seeing are the dollar's problems, which, again, they're not necessarily wrong. So what is that doing for us in the last 24 hours? You can see something like the euro, the dollar yen up, 224. And it's funny. In this article, it talks about, the dollar yen is overshooting somewhat now, and it may briefly hit 145 later this month. Well, I hate to tell you, it wasn't later this month. It was later on today. There's 145, and we passed it. So, it's funny that they're, people are saying these, don't think the BOJ will raise interest rates just to stem the fall. So the problem is it really the yen, or is it just the dollar messing a whole lot of stuff up? So it's kind of, when multiple countries say it, it kind of goes back, and it's kind of, you got to question. It's like, is this the dollar or is this something different? It's kind of getting to be the dollar. So we'll see. So I think at this point, looking at everything in the comments that everybody is making, it does sound like we're going forward with the 0.75. And again, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, we said that we needed to go kind of beyond what we needed to, and then we could kind of cut back again. I just don't know how far, right? That's the question I have, is how far are we going to go with it? Do we have one more 0.75? Do we have two? And I think that's kind of where people are kind of questioning, right? What could, how far could they actually go? All right. So 10 o'clock today, in a few minutes, we do have some data coming in. Again, expected to go higher. I don't think that's anything that we didn't already know. Yeah, it is what it is. And I think, it's decent for, again, it should be. But with the dollar CAD rising up 51, you're starting to see it reverse a little bit. And I question whether or not the move is already kind of starting to come in. Kind of wondering, maybe, maybe. Yeah, kind of wondering. It is moving a little bit more than I thought. Yeah, it's probably going to be okay. But then you're seeing something like the pound dollar. You're like, wait a second, that's down. But wait a second, the euro dollar is up. There's strength over here. And it's not inherently that it's just, it's just straight dollar strength, or it's dollar weakness or anything like that. It's other countries and comments that they're making as well. So it's not 100% pure bam. The dollar's just going so far up today. It's just, it's huge. It's not like that. So, just a little bit different than what we're kind of, used to seeing. All right. But then something like the dollar Swiss, you're seeing that, okay, well, what's going on? Why is the dollar Swiss only, 5 in 24 hours? That's not that much. And you're right. It is not that much. It's basically because we're coming into areas where we've had major levels of sellers come in. And remember, in things like, there are, hedging that happens and number of things on larger spectrums that are not necessarily short-term currency interest rate plays. They are pure technical trades. And again, I'll show you that on the charts. And then even Aussie dollar. I mean, is 37 monumental? No. This 37, if you looked at 37 and then looked across at the 230, you'd be like, holy crap, what's happening? This 130 over here in the pound is really nothing that big. So it's interesting how this is kind of all laying out. That's kind of it. Like I said, the biggest today is I like this 325. I think this 325 is pretty decent. Kind of happy with that. Trying to think, what do we do with it now? There's probably not much. I don't know that they're, again, it's pretty telegraphed. Sounds like that is what's going forward. So I don't know how much more play we're going to get out of that. I'm curious to see what the PM, the IV number is going to be. And then again, Mester and Bernard speaking today. So yeah, I feel like we're going to get some headlines, but I think at this point, everybody's just kind of under the assumption that, hey, listen, 0.75, it is what it is. That's what we're doing. And again, so be it. Yeah, so tomorrow we do have some raises. And again, this is a pretty legitimate raise for, for the UK, right? They've been doing for the euro. The UK's path has been 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. Ours has been higher than that. Again, I think I don't think the euro is going to raise as much, but I feel like that's why we're seeing this 17 is in preparation for tomorrow. So just be aware of that. But then we have the unemployment claims. Again, markets have been kind of more on a negative note at this point. And then again, we have Powell speaking at 9 tomorrow morning. And this Powell shift, again, it's a moderated discussion. But again, I think everybody now is just kind of under the opinion that, hey, listen, this is what's going to happen. So be it. Right, so be it. Yeah, I don't think there's any more surprises that he's going to throw at us. I think he's just going to say, "Up, this is what we're doing," and just deal with it. Is kind of what I feel like we're going to get. Hold on one sec. What does she want? Sorry, Melissa was shooting me a message, and I'm trying to figure out if she needs me to do something. No. Okay. I'm good. I was like, what does she want? All right. So that's what we have tomorrow morning. And all that comes in early before we get to talk tomorrow. So I feel like there's enough stuff going on in the next 24 hours. It's kind of like, hey, you got to watch out for this. On other news too, Putin has talked back again. The UK or, Europe is talking about putting a price cap on how much they're willing to pay for gas. Where is it? Yeah. Talking about here, Putin's like, yeah, that's pretty stupid. You're going to lead to price increases. And I have to agree with him. If you say we're only going to pay for this much, that lowers, if the market price is higher, right? If the market price is higher, what that's going to basically do is it's going to say, okay, we have X number of supply that's available right now, right? But we're only going to pay Russia this much. So that means but if the market price is higher, you're lowering supply, which is also going to increase the price of gas. So again, it's kind of more or less basic supply and demand kind of theory there. I don't want to say theory because it kind of, that's what it is. But again, I kind of think that he's right. Because again, there's plenty of other nations out there that are willing to take it at better prices, especially if the market dictates it. And eventually, you got to look at this and say, wait, we're only going to pay Russia. If we need it that badly, we're only going to do it, we're only going to buy it for this much. Okay, great. But if someone else is willing to buy it at a higher price, okay, great. And who knows? I think this is a dangerous game because I also think that it leads to additional kind of, I don't want to say decoupling, but like, we talk about free markets and there has to be, OPEC kind of controls the supply back and forth. But if you can create a side deal and things are not on an open market, I think that kind of changes the playing field. China has done so much investment in the Middle East. I think, I don't know. I feel like I don't want a scenario where, people can create kind of side hustles, right? Not side hustles, but like side agreements, right? I mean, think about it for the U.S. citizen, and just think about development globally, right? If in the United States, if we have to pay, I mean, again, we have plenty of gas here, but we believe in open market. If China is able to get gasoline for half the price that we can, right? What does that do for China's development if they have cheaper commodity costs? Kind of a big deal when you look at it that way, right? It puts America and our energy grid and everything else at a competitive disadvantage. So I think we need to be careful with it. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking at this and I'm like, I guess they have a game, but I'm not sure what game it is that they're playing. I don't know. We'll see. All right. With that said, enough soapboxing today. There's just a lot going on in the market. So again, a lot of technical factors, and Iran is also, I don't know if you guys have seen this as well. And we haven't seen too much drop into it yet, but Iran has basically said, listen, we're breaching all these nuclear things. I understand why Iran is doing it, because they don't need the U.S. to create these things. Russia also has technology that they could share if they want. Again, there's no love lost between Iran and the United States. If Russia wants to go over there and help them with their investment, they absolutely could. And if I was Putin, I would be all over that. Like, oh, you don't want to play by their rules? Fine. Well, go with us. Help us, right? There are plenty of countries out there that would love access to those two countries' resources. So, yeah, I think that's. I think Iran is yeah. This kind of scares me a little bit. By the way, their stockpile of enriched uranium is up 29%. It's not the statistic that you want, right? Growth, jobs, stockpile of highly enriched uranium, not what you're looking for on a Wednesday morning. All right, so let's go across and let's look into the charts now. So the dollar's continuing to go, and look at this. Came up and we did this weird phase, this thing yesterday. We came back, we filled the gap and went higher. I mean, we talked about 109 being high, and we talked about 110 being high. It's like, wow, 111 is sitting right here. Look at this. 111 is sitting right there. We're right. I mean, we're within striking range. I've never seen it this high. Not to where like it actually mattered, right? So it's like, wow, this is crazy. And I think it has the ability to go a little bit higher too, because I don't think that we're done. I think there'll be a little bit of an over. They've already mentioned that there has to be a bit of an overshoot. So yeah, love to say. I mean, again, we are high on the curve. I do think there's some reversals, but again, it's been so telegraphed at this point. I think when the actual 0.75 raise comes in, I think it's a dollar weakness selling signal because everybody's going to be like, oh, 0.7, let's go. And being this high, I think that gives us all the justification. So. Yeah, we haven't seen the dollar destruction. It's not quite there yet. And again, even with it raising this much, look, now all the indices in the green. So yeah, it's, back and forth. And again, commodities way down, right? Aussie dollar. So these are the levels that we talked about yesterday. We talked about a drop down. We were hoping that news was going to spike it down. We liked that level much better. It didn't. It kind of moved it a little bit. It was a quick spike up and down, and we just kind of based. So it wasn't anything, amazingly news-wise, but as you can see, we had this down talking about it dropping. You can see that it did. It dropped down, and it came all the way back up again. And it was a decent kind of from where it dropped. It was about 30 pips. Had it dropped all the way down to the zone that we talked about for news, that was about a 40-pip runner, so would have been pretty decent. Yeah, but unfortunately, it didn't come all the way down. And then what it did, it was messing around at this level. It did come down and grab the 66.98. And you can see it had a decent push off of there. This was a larger level, and it went back up. And I believe this was a fib level too. Yeah, it was right at the 23. Once it came down to here, right? If you go from here down to the low, okay, you can see that it was a fib level. And again, this zone, again, it was okay, but it didn't get there on the spike. So we'll remove it. Take this one off. As you can see, there was a level of basing sitting right here. And here's your test. Dropped down, came back up, and then exploded out. Just happened to be the 23. And again, you got two different entries on this one. And this was a nice little short right there. And your 1 to 3 is sitting right there. And the reason I know is because there is your 530 candle. Okay. So we talk about lining up multiple systems. There's your 530 reversal time at a 30-minute level of supply at a 23.6 pullback. Bam, bam, bam. 3 strikes and you're out. Hold on. One sec, guys. All right. Sorry. I had 3 messages pop up from somebody that I was trying to get in touch with. Wait, what? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So again, nice little trade setup. This is one of those things that kind of did a lot of different overlaps, and that's what we like to see when you have everything, everything in there. All right. Aussie yen. Aussie yen. Now we were looking for a reversal in the Aussie. We didn't quite get it. It got close, right? Yesterday morning we were sitting right here. We had been chopping through and it was yellow. We weren't really in love with it. It ended up needing some more buyers. So it came back down and it kind of pulled from, again, this red zone was a kind of a sloppy zone, but it ended up needing the pull from that. So we'll move this, keep it clear. Now, it did hit this kind of upper level and then it had a fight. right? It did have a fight, but since really the European Open, it has gone higher. So now with both these zones gone, and again, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a Harry Potter formation there. Right now, really the next level we're looking for is 97.71. So we definitely have some room to run in the Aussie. Now, again, looking at this and saying, okay, well, what have we got going on with the CAD? What have we got going on with, everything else? Again, GDP numbers were coming in good. This is great because they're not kind of going back in a recession. So we have had strong dollar news. I'm wondering if tonight, though, this 11 p.m. when Lowe speaks, I'm wondering if they're going to talk about maybe slowing down a little bit. That's where I can kind of see this reversal coming in. So it is within striking distance. Again, you can time this with the speech tonight. As far as finding a bottom, like I said, this is no longer a short. This is, again, it's Harry Potter off of that one. The 23.6 is not in a level where I'm necessarily concerned about it. I don't love it. Even the 50 doesn't line up. That's why I think that we're not done for this move higher. When you do go back, I don't need this one. This is an old one. Got a couple old ones out there. All right. 4 hour. Can we not see on this one? I thought we could. I have to go all the way back on a daily. This is what we're dealing with. So we know we got a little bit. And again, this one is out. This is what we're chunking through right now. This, and this here. I'll shrink this just a little bit. So this is what we're chunking through. So this is where up here, the 97.91, this little drop, this kind of hiccup, these descending, and then again, this kind of descending and drop. We have to clear this area right now. And again, 4 hour chart. But right above this, again, we got a zone sitting right there that I think is a pretty decent sell. So I would say that the Aussie yen is kind of lining up for somewhat of a reversal, right? Again, on a higher time frame, not one of the smaller time frames. So it's there. It's within striking distance. Right now, where current price is, we're about 75 pips. So are we within somewhat of a range? Yeah. Hold on one sec. Okay, hold on one sec, guys. The boys' mom came here to grab their stuff. Hold on one sec. Sorry. I'm trying to I'm like messaging everybody. This is like one of those mornings. It's like, how can we interrupt things even more? But anyway, actually, I'm sorry. This is a daily, not a 4 hour. So it's even higher. It's an area we've seen sellers come in the past pretty strongly and push it back to the downside. You'll see some basing. Like the area, think it's pretty good. All right. Oh God. What? Okay. All right, let's shrink this all the way back down. Go back down to a 30-minute because that looks crazy. Yeah, we got to reset it. There we go. All right. So here was a trade that we had talked about yesterday. Again, we talked about that 50% and the 23.6. You guys remember this double that we talked about? We talked about the level, and actually this should have been there. I don't know why that moved. It should have been there. And your 1 to 3 is finished right there. Okay. So again, trade is out. This is this morning, right? There is your 3 o'clock candle this morning, and it tagged it at 8 o'clock this morning, and you were out. So there's what the trade looks like. Again, 99.25. We talked about it yesterday as being kind of a double overlap. Again, the bottom needed to move down just a little bit more, which is fine. Again, this is one of those situations where we're not taking it on the 23.6. But again, we know that that's a level where people will step in. We're still looking for supply and demand. And again, there was your supply and demand level right there. Your supply, it had been confirmed right here. And if I brought this across, right, if I bring this across to here, you can see that it came up, grabbed the 50 in the level. So a lot of different factors in there. It was kind of another 1, 2, 3 with session open, supply zone, 50%, and 23.6 all on top of each other. So a lot of stuff going on all in one little area. Hold on one sec. Okay. Melissa didn't check it. I just didn't. I wanted to make sure Melissa knew. Melissa has Kip right now, and the dog is. Actually, he said dog's with me. But the boys' mom came to grab their computers and their stuff this morning. But I'm like, on a webinar, can't let you in, but the door's open. Come in, grab their stuff. But I didn't want Melissa to go downstairs and be like, oh, Brian's ex-wife is here. guys can see how that caused problems. Anyway, 99.25 is where it is. Nice little trade setup. Hopefully you guys are able to grab it. We talked about the setup yesterday. At this point, we're basing in the middle. Probably see this one kind of base a little bit more sideways, at least until Powell speaks. So not much more we can do with it right now, but hopefully you grabbed that this morning. Euro pound, seeing this one burst forward. So funny enough, here was that 5:30 reversal yesterday. Here's the start of yesterday. European session started here, right? And this one has taken off. Now, this zone, it did provide a little bit more. Again, we typically only take one on the breaks. And again, drop, cranked it. You can see here, it did hit it again, and it fought. They came back down and grabbed those sellers. Or, I'm sorry, they grabbed those buyers, pushed out, came and grabbed them again, and then took off. Now, we are entering a level up here. So, all I did was extend that across. Again, this zone is, you're done from yesterday. There's your open. I would say on this one, again, not that there's great pound news, but this is a very fast, I mean, this pair right now, this thing doesn't necessarily move that much. We're up 70 pips right now. The daily ATR in this, right? 58. So we're beyond, like we're past at this point. I hate how that does that. It like shrinks it, disappears. It's like, oh, you weren't using this? No, I was using it. Put it back on there. Being at 58, we're already at 61. I mean, we've already gone beyond a daily ATR already, which we have not really seen in this pair. It's probably getting into a range where we're kind of at an extension. So, yeah, I mean, I would look for the turn and flip. I don't know if it's quite there yet. But again, the UK is like, yeah, we got plenty of problems, and the euro is about to raise. But all this movement today, we know what's happening tomorrow morning. We got this. So again, this much movement a day before everybody, again, the forecast is they're going to raise it. That is a shorting opportunity, okay? Because what happens is all the retail traders like, you raise interest rate, that's good for the euro, we're buying it. Well, the move has already happened, right? The move happened today. So I'd be looking for a top and somewhat of a rollover. And again, at news time, it could be an opportunity to take that one short. Let's see what CAD did, and let's see what the IV PMI is for CAD. Yeah, so they did exactly as expected, and the PMI was higher. Look at, wow. They were at 48. It was expected to be lower and came in at 60.9. Wow. That's interesting. That's a big miss. Again, miss to the top side. Wow. And again, not considered as big because it's a Canadian number. If it was a U.S. number, it'd be much more, highly looked at. But look at that, with a big raise and the IV PMI higher. Well, that's good for the CAD. And again, everybody expected this, and they did exactly what was expected. So there wasn't a change there. But this IV PMI is kind of like what happens going forward now. So that's a big miss. That's a big thing. But anyway, euro pound, I'd look for this one to turn and roll. With it moving this much today, I think it's in a perfect scenario where, again, we're raising interest rates, but it's already baked in. There's nothing, you're not adding anything new to this scenario. And we've seen that a number of times. I mean, you see it all the time where the news comes out. It's like, that should be awesome. Why is it going down? Well, it's because it's already baked in. Everybody already knows. It's one of those things that, as a new trader, that was one of the things that frustrated me, the most. And even like when I first started trading options, that was one of the things that used to frustrate me the most. It's like you get into a long position, right? And it would do everything that you thought it was supposed to do. And then all of a sudden it went the opposite. It's like, wait a second, it even went up. How did I lose money? And it was because of volatility. Because like volatility adds like a new kind of piece to it. And it's a part that, a lot of people just don't get. They're like, wait, there's more, and that's what makes options so much harder. They're easy once you understand them, but just to start off, it's kind of it's always like, yeah, it's not 100% accurate, right? You were right, it went in your direction, but you still lost money. I remember trying to explain that to people, like, all right, so there's multiple things you got to worry about, right? It's not just direction. All right. So let's look at Euro Yen. Euro Yen also looks very, very similar. Now, we talked about this yesterday morning. We were sitting right here and talking about how this one popped through. We mentioned, hey, listen, the zone was broken, right? And when the zone breaks, typically that's where you look for a pull in the other direction. We were sitting actually right here when right around this 10:30 mark. It came back up again. It's like, hey, listen, you shouldn't have lost money on it. We know the pattern. When a zone breaks, you can look to take in the other direction. I draw it all the time. We talk about Harry Potter's. There's the pull up on the break. There's the pullback. And again, there was one, there was two. You could grab either one, and there was the end result. So This one, unfortunately, again, you made it to about a 1 to 2. You shouldn't have lost any money on that one. But had you taken this one on the long side, again, you had 4 p.m. or even late last night. If you were trading last night, you guys could have grabbed this one. This one is well beyond being out, though. 1 to 3 is only sitting right, actually right there. So didn't take long for this one to go, and it's continuing to move. All right. So again, not every trade works, but how do you deal with it afterwards? I think is important. Right now, if you run from the most recent high to low, you can see there is a basing level, and it actually is not a horrible level. It has actually come in and has actually tested. So if you're looking for a continuation of this to go higher, I think 142.57 is where it goes. That one didn't come all the way down. We're good there. I'll need that one. Let's pull this one off too, just to kind of keep it clean. But yeah, so that's where we're looking, and we know we got levels kind of sitting right above. We have a daily zone sitting right above, and it's a decent move. I mean, it's about 280 pips away, so it's got plenty of, it's not like a today or tomorrow thing. But I do think, again, if the euro pound is getting ready to reverse, euro yen, euro dollar, they're all kind of in a level where, we'd be looking for shorts to come in here. And again, it's going to take something from the yen, but obviously that's not in yet, right? Not in yet. But yeah, so again, nice little Harry Potter if you guys were able to grab it. Like I said, decent one, decent pullback right here, right? And then you can see right here, new level, came back, and it's like, yep, there's some buyers sitting there, and went up. So 142, and again, I don't think it even takes that much. How much is that going to be? Yeah, it's like 9 pips risk, so I mean, not a huge trade, but again, it goes there. So not too shabby. All right, pound dollar. All right, so there's pound dollar, right? We had talked about this. We've had this big green here for a while. We talked about the target, and again, we literally just hit the target yesterday. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the recording. I talked about 114.10 as being where our overall target was. Yesterday morning, we were sitting kind of here. We were kind of messing with this level. We had pushed through it, right? It's like, yeah, if we base again, and look, there's your base. It went down to profit. Had you grabbed it there, you were good. If not, 3 o'clock this morning, there was the European Open, right? Actually, European Open was here, but it grabbed it right there, right? 5:30, it was already down here. So again, it pushed down. We literally in the last 30 minutes in the last 7 minutes, because it's only 7 minutes in the new candle, we tagged the 114.10. So from where we were yesterday, had you guys gotten short this position, we were sitting right around 10 o'clock here. I'm gonna guess we'll say here, 127 pip mover. So again, trying to find a defined level of risk. We were able to get it after this news. There was your touch down. Okay, so trade is done. At this point, I think this one probably has a little bit more to go. I don't want to tell you guys, hey, listen, get short, right? Stay short. My feeling on it is that it's going to continue to go lower. Right now, we're sitting there. If you go from this kind of most recent kind of pivot point up at 116, you can see that the 50 and 61 is just, if I extend it, you can see that it's literally going right through that level. That's why I kind of like that level a little bit more, because where people are drawing it, there's going to be eyes focused and trades put in there. So yeah, watch that one. If this is the bottom, if we start to reverse off of it. The other aspect of it as well, as you can see, again, there was a hiccup. We do know that there is something going on, probably in here somewhere. I don't know. Maybe we can see it on a 5-minute. Yeah, it's kind of there. It's not the best level. I mean, there's your drop, base drop, and there's your, and you can see that it's right on the 23. See how it's right there? So I'd say, if we can get up to 114.47, you want to continue this, there's probably a little bit more. Maybe. I don't know. I think this one goes lower. I don't know if we can get a decent pullback, but if we do, you could probably take another short off of that one. It was a very, very quick spike. And again, now at the new low here, people will still be looking at that 23.6. So, it's not horrible. Not bad. But again, that was the overnight one you should have grabbed. European session, again, 50%. It's the 50% now, but again, we talked about 114. That's what we were hitting for yesterday. And again, we did it one day later. Pound yen. So pound yen has pushed up. I'm clicking things all over the place. Wait, what are we doing? Wait, what is this? Sorry, hold on. Everything is, wait, what? Why is it doing that? Hold on. Wait, what? Hold on, just making sure. I'm checking something real quick. No? I feel like no. No, she doesn't. Wait, what? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, like what? Why are you asking me that? All right. Okay. So pound yen. Again, we're still waiting for this one to get short. It continued to rally. It's not very clean. It doesn't look as good as the other ones. If you shrink it down, there's actually a zone here. You could actually draw this off the top. And again, it's not a bad kind of formation. Again, failure to go higher. Wasn't the cleanest entry, but it does look like it's going to turn and roll and probably come back down to the 164 mark. It's only about 35 pips. And again, with the pound yen, 35 pips is a little bit risky. It's whatever. It's a whatever. So, look for it to roll. But I think 164 or 40 is probably where that one's going. Don't love the trade. The risk on it, again, with this pair is always a little bit crazy. Just this zone right here, like, it's a little zone. It's 44 pips. It's a 44 pip zone, right? And the push back down is about 87 in the other direction. So it is kind of a lot. I mean, I guess it should be more kind of stretched out looking like this, right? But again, I like to keep it kind of in the same size. And it's the pound yen. It moves a lot. Are there other opportunities? Yeah. Is there less risk to take? Yeah. 44 risk is a lot for me. I just don't, again, I'm not one of those hold this thing for 5 months type thing. 10 to 15 works fine for me. They're all over the place. Taking 44, it's like, wow, how much? And again, at the end of the day, can you take it? Sure, right? That's why we use a position sizer, so every trade actually has the same type of potential risk for us. But do I want to take something with 44 risk and take a really, really small position and require it to move a whole lot of pips? No, not really. I'd much rather take something for 10, be right or wrong very, very, very fast, take my 30, before it reverses, and then be gone, right? That's just my style. Some people like this. They don't want to look at it. We're connected to our phones. Who are we kidding, right? We're connected to our technology. We love it, right? We want to look at this thing more, not less. But again, I highly advocate don't look at it all day. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, you're looking at this and saying, this does not look like the other charts. What is going on? Like this, right? Why is the dollar CAD like this? Or why is it not like this? Well, remember we talked about this with the dollar Swiss as well? The dollar Swiss is actually red right now. What's going on? Well, we're hitting a 4-hour level is what it is, okay? So yesterday we were sitting right here, right? And we talked about, 131.89. And you can see we hit the 131.89. Actually, this should be there, right? We hit the 131.89 about midnight, and then we hit it at 3 o'clock this morning, okay? There was a short position if you wanted to take one in here. And again, you actually had 2 different entries into it. And your 1 to 3 is sitting right there, which is a little bit of, you're looking at that going, really? It didn't hit. Yeah, well, it didn't hit because here's where your profit target should have been. Okay, did go a little bit lower, but this one unfortunately only had a 1 to 2.3, 2.35, right? At its peak went 2.8, right? 3 is right there, but we were already looking at this saying, hey, listen, there's basing. Look at all the buyers in here. To assume that was going to go below those buyers is a little bit kind of an ego, right, guys? Again, you got to use what the chart shows you. I love when people just throw percentages. It's like, you know what? It's going to go there because of this percentage. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to look at this and say, hey, you know what? There are buyers here. They tried to turn this around and buyers stepped in. And you know how I know buyers were there? Because the red candle came down and then it took off. If there was nobody willing to buy it, the price would not have taken off. So yes, there are buyers there. Right? Versus just saying, well, it's going to do this because of this percentage, because of a mystical force in the gap. It's kind of one of those things. So had you set this one up correctly, you've had to know, hey, listen, I need to get profit here to be on the safe side. I don't need to run it. Do you take this one because it's not a 1 to 3? Personal preference, right? Personal preference. It was really, really close. But the worst thing you want to do in this case is, be up 35 pips, actually be up, 42 pips in profit going for the last 2.9. Like, why risk 42 pips of profit for 2.9 pips, right? That's stupid, right? So again, whether you're trailing, whatever you're doing, knowing that the profit target is there, take your 35, be done. End of story. Done. Now, where we are right now, again, we are hitting higher time frame levels of supply. We talked about 132 being a big psychological level, and you can see we're having problems with it. We smashed it into a few times. Again, CAD raising is good. The U.S. is raising. So again, everything right now is being factored in. I think there will be a little bit of a pop. I do think we are able to break through this. Excuse me. But for the most part, I'm actually more bearish dollar CAD. Reason why is because right now we're seeing this rally up and it's having a hard time going through, but crude is down 4%. It's down $3.75. It's down to 83 again. You know, if you think about the factors, we're talking about limiting Russian, and Russia's like, nope, okay, great. Basically demanding what the price is going to be, which is not a free market. And then we have Iran, and we were talking about getting, oil from the Middle East and potentially Iran coming back online. Well, they're not going to let them do that. So the geopolitical factors out there should be spiking oil, and it's doing the exact opposite because probably people are all trying to buy it. So that's why the price is going down. I think when oil reinflates, I think this one turns and finally rolls back down and back into this probably 131 to 130 level. So actually more bearish thinking on the dollar CAD right now, but you can see it's so much different than what we're seeing in some of the other dollar pairs because, again, higher time frame supply. Dollar Swiss looks exactly the same. We're also at another level, and we talked about this level yesterday. We'd already been pushed in there kind of, pretty deeply, so we left it yellow and mentioned that, maybe not the best, right? Maybe not the best level. Maybe not the best. So, kind of what do we do with it now? I would say my thinking is the same as the dollar CAD. Bearish. Do I have a trade set up? Not really. I mean, we had it marked as an area where we could see a potential reversal. If you were really looking for something, there was a one candle top in here that occurred at midnight. We did just bang off of it. So was there a trade in there? I mean, again, strong push off. Yeah, you could have taken a trade off that one. I didn't take this one. Again, Europeans really, European Open was, I guess the European Open was here. 530 kicked in. 530 candle is right there. So missed the bottom by just a little tiny bit, right? And it's pushed back up, and now we have lower, consecutive lower highs, right? So had you taken a short on this one at, the 8 o'clock window, you'd be out of your trade at this point, So again, I did not take this trade. Is it one you could have taken? Sure. Had you been up and looking at this one, and there's what a 1 to 3 would have looked like. So I did not take it, but, that was a decent 7.5 pip risk, 25-ish in the other direction. 25 would have been right there. So again, your profit target on this one would have been right there. And you can see there is, God, I can't. All right, I'm just going to do it this way. It's going to drive me nuts. It's like, oh, there. Now it's exactly straight. You can see that it went right past it and found the buyers. So more than enough room on that one. Should have been easy enough for you guys to grab. Again, bearish thinking. Dollar yen. So dollar yen, you can see it's having a very, very difficult time with 145. It hit it. It's like, oh, we're at 145. Remember, according to Watanabe, right? Later this month, we'll hit, we may briefly hit at 145 later this month, right? Well, maybe not later this month, maybe today. So it's very, very quick. I do think it is absolutely overextended at this point. And here's one thing too, in reading this one, this statement right here, Japan intervening solo in the currency market would be meaningless. I think it's very interesting that he talked about a solo intervention because this has come up before where they've talked about how, the United States and other countries would help stabilize, again, for like fairness and a bunch of other reasons out there. I do think it's interesting that he mentioned the word solo. Japan intervening solo. So it's like, would the U.S. also help with that intervention? Thought it was very interesting that he mentioned it. It's kind of like, is that a red herring? Did you purposely do that out there? Because there would be people that are going to look at this like, this is what it means. I think it's interesting that he pushed it up there. And again, there's a couple of things like, there's, Zen posed a dilemma for investors keen on buying U.S. Treasuries. I mean, there's a ton of articles out there talking about this, right? What it's doing, why the U.S. is, U.S. is consolidating. Ton of articles on there. So I think it's very, very interesting. Again, do I think this is done? I don't think so. I don't think it's done yet. We know we have levels up top. We talked about having this on like a daily and weekly based level, but 145 is so far past, right? I mean, the 135, they were supposed to intervene at 135 and it was horrible. And they're like, yeah, well, 140 is not bad. There's benefits to this one. Now we're 145. So I do feel that this is probably due to probably turn and roll, right? Probably turn and roll. So yeah, it's interesting spot. But I would say on this one, am I ready to take this one short, hit the sell button? No. Do I think it goes a little higher? Yes. But my feeling on this one is if we could find a great buying or a great selling opportunity, I would like to get short one somewhere up here. Something long term, I think this is a decent one to get short. All right. Crypto, as you can see here, obviously they've taken quite a large hit. And it's funny, like it's up 0.3. Really? Because yesterday it wasn't. Again, got hammered down. We're 18,855. Again, quite low on Bitcoin. Ethereum also taking it on the chops. And again, that one, the 1677. Again, same analysis we normally do, right? And you could have actually shrunk that analysis down and said, what about that level? And yes, that's absolutely level. We're pretty low. Again, there's targets on this one at 1441. Doji actually up a little bit, but we're below the 6. We're below the 6, right? I remember back in the day, James had this thing up at like 12, 13 cents. I don't think he has it anymore. But yeah, looking ugly. TLT also popping up a little bit today. So right now, all the indices, VIX is kind of down a bit, right? Dollar up just briefly, like you're saying. You're seeing it pull back now, all this strength. It's like, oh, it is, right? Everybody's saying, oh, it's 0.7. Okay, great. Indices are around. Again, with the dollar coming back down today, the indices are trying their best, right? So let's see what would have happened today at the open and see what would have occurred. So right now, I would say, yeah, probably more, but it was a little bit early. 9 o'clock is really the 9:30 is where it took off from. And looking at a basing level right here, you could have said, hey, listen, we just got into this base, right? Here's the 9:15 candle. We're so close. Did it come back and hit? Not really. Did it have a 1 to 3 to go? Not really either. Let's see. You could have gotten long in this one. You would have got in a little bit early though. You would have needed to get in a little bit early. 1 to 3 is right there. So you would have made your 1 to 3. What would have scared me on this one, and I'm not surprised it pulled back, what would have scared me was the level right here. This level right here would have scared me a little bit. Right there. Right? But again, we pulled back and based at 8:30. It's kind of like, oh, this pullback right here. So depending on, I would say, depending on who you... Depending on how aggressive you wanted to be on this one, you may or may not have got in. I'd say it's a 50-50. The entry really came in at 9 o'clock today, not 9:30. It only went like from 9 o'clock when it hit, it only went like 9:15 is right here. It only went like a little tiny bit. So you kind of had to go early for it. But again, if you did go early, you can see that you were out. So again, questionable whether or not you would have got in. And again, this level, let's see, 1, 2, 3. No, actually, it wouldn't have bugged me because I would have been hit number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and then this chop through. So yeah, it would have been fine to take. You just had to get into it a little bit early. NQ. See, NQ had the same thing. 9:15. Yeah, 9:15 is like right here. I just said it's the same thing. I mean, they're really it's probably this level is what we would have had to use because there's your confirmation. It touched, but this one went a little bit early as well. Now the question is, would we have taken a short from here? I would say this is probably a no entry. As much as I would love to say, hey, yep, this is probably a no entry. This is 8:15 when we tagged it. 9:15 is right here. Not really in a zone. Again, not worried about this because we had our 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. This is the next level up top. This would have been a great reversal at 10:30, but it hit it at 9:45. So it did hit it a bit early. Yeah, it's a hard one. Not surprised that it turned there at all, though. So yeah, no entry. So questionable in the ES. NQ definitely not an entry. You would have had to hit this one early. So again, not opening print setup on there. YM looks almost exactly the same. Let's bring this down. Okay. 8:30, 9:30 pulled in. And again, if you would have done your base right there, so 9:30 would have been an entry, right? We pulled back down. 9:15, 9:30. Yeah, 9:30 would have actually been one. So YM is good. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure it's through. Yeah, 1 to 3 is right there. And then again, reversal. And actually, for this one for me, I would have had a profit target sitting right there. Let's make sure it is completely flat. Oh, it was close. There. So you can see this was a fine 1 to 3. Not as concerned about this because, again, same thing. Touch, touch, touch. Again, grind through and then finally drop down with that 7:30 move. And you can see it didn't even slow down. So this is fine. And again, 50% reversal. So I'm sure there was definitely some people that got short on this one. Kind of indifferent on it right now. Like I said, we've already kind of had a push and a pullback. Like I said, this is so ES is depending on how aggressive you're, maybe. NQ is a no. YM is definitely a yes. And again, the 2 entries would have been full. This is, again, there's a base. And there's your low base, right? There's your low base and your touch. You didn't make it at 8:15. And again, opening print would have been right here. Is that anywhere close? No. But what did it do? It came back up and grabbed the 1800. Question is, did it grab this level? It did. So, yeah. But it likes 1800. 1800 would have been a target if you got long. So, 1 for 4 guaranteed, 2 for 4 if you were a little bit more aggressive. If you did enter both of them, you were 2 for 2. If you only entered the one, you were 1 for 1. So not bad for the opening print on the morning. And again, kind of a, there was some big news today with Messer speaking at 10, which always kind of throws a little bit of a loop in there, but not a horrible morning as far as they go. Look at this. We don't even ever look at this one. We can see it though. USD. Oh, I thought we could. Oh, there it is. Is that? Yeah. Wow. Now I know what they're talking about. Why there's an article on that one. Jeez, look at that. Again, it's not as high as it's ever been, but wow. Look at that. That's a daily. Definitely more high side. Hasn't been this high since, what, September 2019. I guess it peaked around June 2020. So, yeah. Interesting. Almost at 7 due to the Chinese thing. All right, so that's kind of it for today. We're mixed over here. Again, Apple will start seeing, currency issues. Tesla, same thing. Twitter, I don't know. Something's going on Twitter. I don't know what that one is. Musk can use whistleblower claims. Huh. But much, okay, sure. That'd be interesting. Whistleblower claims. Okay, sure. Fun. All right, let's get into the drawing. Ended a little bit early today. Not the end of the world. All right, so let's go across. Let's do our giveaway. Who we got in here? We got Eki, Marina. Ernest is not in yet today. Is Ernest here? Let's see. Has Ernest been talking? I don't see Ernest talking yet. Uh-oh, is Ernest missing another? Maybe. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. We got everybody else. So Ernest won yesterday, so it's odd. It's very odd that Ernest wins one day and then doesn't show up the next day. So hopefully everything's good over there. Probably a kid thing. So, with that said, you guys are taking it on the cheap today. Let's close it down. Let's do the drawing. Winner of today's drawing is Eki. There we go. Nobody can be mad at Eki taking a win. All right, Eki, let's get you some. Let's get you your 25. Congrats, my friend. Nah, it's not rigged. It's not rigged. It's always good for Eki, Eki doesn't, Eki's like it's weird. Eki doesn't normally win on a Wednesday. Eki's a Monday, Friday type person, right? But it's great. Anyway, do watch out for tomorrow morning. Like I said, tomorrow morning is probably some Fast and Furious. Remember, whenever you see anything like this, 201 is big, right? 201 is big. If you look at the daily ATR, it's 147 is the daily ATR, and that's with the craziness we've had lately. It's up 202 again. Is tomorrow the day that it turns and flips? I don't know, but I will tell you, after big days like this, and we've had a couple consecutive ones in a row, you can see it in the last 60 minutes. It's already starting to retrace back down again. That's where you tend to see big reversals as well. And again, it's not like the pound yen is really kind of out of whack at 100. So, yeah. So just watch out for that. I would say look for maybe some pound reversals tomorrow. Look for some yen reversals. But absolutely watch out for the main refinancing rate. Again, this could be a shorting opportunity in the euro. Again, they've telegraphed that if it comes in, everybody expects that one. And here's the thing. I don't think they're raising a 0.125. There's at no point where they're like, yeah, we're going to raise it 1% because that's what we need. 0.75 is high enough. Everybody expects that. The market's factored that in. If they go gun shy at 0.5, that's weakness. The two scenarios are, one, it's already baked in. Everybody's going to see that, buy it, and you short. Or if they come in at a 0.5 raise and it comes at a 1.0 instead of 1.25, that's also short. Both of those are short setups for the euro dollar. So I think euro dollar is a short trade tomorrow. So watch out for that one. Again, it is at 8:15, so it is not at vampire hours, but pretty nice little setup. So with that said, I'm out of here. You guys take care. I'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, and have a great trading day.